My brother suggested we rent a cabin for the weekend, just the two of us. Getting away from the city, he said, clearing our heads. I needed it. Work had been killing me. My name is Michael. I'm 32 years old. I work at a marketing firm downtown. I haven't taken a real vacation in 3 years. The cabin was old, built sometime in the 1970s. It sat alone on 5 acres of land, surrounded by thick forest. No neighbors for miles. The rental listing said it was peaceful and quiet. It was. Too quiet, maybe. When we arrived on Friday evening, the sun was already dying behind the trees. My brother Jake parked the car in front of the cabin. We sat there for a moment, just looking at it. The wood was dark and weathered. The windows looked like dead eyes. Nice place, Jake said, but he didn't sound like he meant it. We brought our bags inside. The cabin smelled like old wood and dust and something else I couldn't name. Something like metal and earth. The electricity worked. The water worked. There was a kitchen and a living room and 2 bedrooms, a fireplace, a front porch that faced the forest. We made dinner and talked about nothing important. Jake asked me about my job. I asked him about his girlfriend. We drank beer and went to bed early. I fell asleep listening to the trees move in the wind. Saturday morning was cold. Frost covered the ground. I walked around the property with my coffee, just exploring. Jake was still asleep. The cabin looked different in daylight, less threatening, more just old. I walked past the side of the building, past the kitchen window, toward the back where the forest crept closer. That's where I found the grave. It was maybe 50 feet behind the cabin, in a small clearing where the trees opened up a little. A rectangular shape of darker earth. Grass didn't grow on it. Flowers didn't grow on it. Just bare soil, like something had been dug up recently, and then filled back in. There was no headstone, no marker, nothing. No, I stood there staring at it. My coffee got cold in my hand. I called Jake. He came out, still half asleep, wearing only a t-shirt against the cold air. What? He said. There's a grave, I said. Jake walked over. He looked at it. He looked at me. Maybe something died here, he said. An animal. That's too big for an animal. He shrugged. A deer then. A large deer. People bury their pets out here sometimes. But Jake was looking at me the way you look at something that scares you. Like he knew what I was thinking. A human-sized grave. Behind a cabin. Unmarked. Fresh. We didn't talk about it for the rest of the day. We went into town for lunch. We bought supplies at the general store. We came back and made dinner and tried to pretend the grave wasn't there. But I kept thinking about it. I kept seeing it behind my eyes every time I closed them. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to the house settle and creak. Around 3 a.m. I got up and went to the living room. I was going to read something. Distract myself. There was a bookshelf next to the fireplace. Old books. Mostly paperback mysteries and romance novels. I was pulling books out at random when a thin folder fell out from behind them. It was a property file. Documents about the cabin, original deed, some invoices for repairs, and a newspaper clipping, yellowed and old, from October 1998, 25 years ago. The headline said, "Local man missing, presumed dead." The article talked about a man named Michael Chen who lived in the cabin. He was 32 years old. He worked in the city but spent weekends here. One Friday he drove out alone. He never came back. Police searched the area but found nothing. The case went cold. Then it was forgotten. My name is Michael. I am 32 years old. I read the article 3 times. My hands were shaking. There was a photo of the man. Michael Chen. The photo was small and grainy and old, but I couldn't stop looking at it. He looked like someone. He looked like me. He looked like someone I might have known. I didn't wake Jake. I sat in the dark living room until sunrise. I didn't move. I barely breathed. Sunday morning came. Jake said he wanted to leave early. He didn't say why. I didn't ask. We packed our things quickly. We didn't go back to look at the grave again. We didn't talk about it. We just loaded the car and left. On the drive home, Jake asked me if I remembered the cabin owner's name. I told him no. He didn't push it. He just nodded and turned up the radio. At home, I tried to look up Michael Chen, missing person, October 1998, but the internet, wasn't very good at remembering things from that far back. I found some old forum posts from paranormal websites, people talking about the cabin, talking about a man who disappeared. Some people said the cabin was haunted. Some people said he just ran away and started a new life somewhere. Nobody knew anything for certain. I told myself it was a coincidence. My name is common. Michael is a common name. There are millions of Michaels in the world. Thousands of people are 32 years old right now. Thousands of people work in the city. It meant nothing, but that night I dreamed about the grave. In the dream, I was lying in it. The soil was in my mouth and my eyes. The cold was crushing me from all sides, and I was still alive. I was conscious and aware and buried in the dark, and I would stay there forever. 3 weeks later, I drove back to the cabin alone. I couldn't stop thinking about the grave. The cabin looked exactly the same. The forest hadn't changed. Even the air felt frozen, like time had never moved. The grave was still there. I stood over it with a shovel. The first scoop of dirt was easy. The 100th wasn't. Hours passed. Sweat soaked through my shirt. My hands bled, but I kept digging. Finally, the shovel struck wood, a coffin. My heart nearly stopped. I pulled the rotten lid open. Inside was a skeleton. The clothes had almost completely rotted away, but one thing hadn't, a silver wristwatch. It was my watch. The same scratch near the buckle, the same cracked glass I'd broken 2 years ago. No, my hands shook as I searched the pockets. A leather wallet. Inside, my driver's license, my photo, my name, Michael Carter. My knees gave out. This isn't possible. A car engine echoed through the trees. A police cruiser stopped beside the cabin. 2 officers hurried toward me. One looked into the grave. His face turned pale. Oh my God. The other officer spoke into his radio. We've located the missing person. I stumbled toward them. I'm right here! Neither officer looked at me. I'm alive! Nothing. I grabbed one officer's shoulder. My hand passed straight through him. Ice spread through my chest. The older officer quietly said, Michael Carter, missing since October 1998. 28 years. I turned slowly toward the cabin. Jake was standing on the porch, smiling, not happily, sadly. You remembered, he said. What are you talking about? Jake stepped down from the porch. You always come back. What? You never accepted the first time. The forest became silent. You died here 28 years ago. I stared at him. No, I've brought you back every few years. His eyes filled with tears. You forget, and I try again. I looked at my hands. They were becoming transparent. Pieces of the forest showed through my skin. I've been dead, Jake nodded. The grave was never behind the cabin. He looked directly into my eyes. It was always yours. The wind finally moved through the trees. My body became lighter. The cabin, Jake, the forest, everything slowly faded away. The last thing I heard was my brother whispering, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. Then, there was only silence.